Ismail Abdulsalam, BeatsBoxingMayhem.com. I'm here with a very special guest, the star of the hit horror series From on Epix. We just watched the season finale. I'm here with none other than Harold Perrineau. Harold, how are you doing today? How are you feeling after the finale?
I'm really good, brother. You might hear a bunch of birds in the background. Right now, I'm in South Carolina, so it might get noise. Shut up, birds!
As long as it's not the birds from the down tree, I think we're good.
It's not crows or ravens or whatever they are, right? But I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. After watching the finale, I think everybody, they were kind of hoping for a resolution. The music
Mm,
was sounding good. Sounds like you were going to get some shelter in the tree. And the next thing we
mm.
know, you're locked somewhere and trapped. So all of us are like, what the hell? What was your reaction reading that script and knowing that was your finale and that was the cliffhanger?
It was pretty much the same thing when I read that last bit. Like he's Boyd gets out his lighter and he realizes that he's enclosed like walls around. I was like, oh, this is terrible. Not only is it terrible for the show, but I was like, I have to end the season like this, and if we get a new season, I have to start the season like this.
Right.
So no fun at all. Like I thought, but I also thought it was really, really exciting as well. I thought like, yeah, what's happening, and everybody's gonna be like, oh snap, what's happening here, and they're gonna really dig it. And so I like it.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
Boyd, he's had a lot of growth in the season, even though you ended up trapped. We see at the beginning,
yeah.
everything is in order. He's the leader. He's rounding everybody up, ringing the bell. What do you feel is his biggest growth that we've seen over these last 10 episodes?
I think the thing that we found out, like Boyd has been sort of parading as this tough person. Do you know what I mean? And I think we found out pretty early on when he didn't want to put a homeboy in the box, whose name for some reason is going up. When you realize he's like, I actually don't want to use that. You realize he's actually got more humanity than we thought he did. He's still like, if he thinks you're wrong, you know, he's gonna try to do what he can to save everybody else. But he certainly has grown in like his empathy, like what he's doing with Sarah. Like I think at first he was like, look, if I have to kill him, I got to kill you too. I think he was just down. He's like, I'm not playing with Sarah. But then like I think he's grown, like he's got some more empathy. At least that we get to see some more empathy. He's probably always had it. So, but we get to see that.
Right. And one other thing I noticed a lot, Father Catry, him
Mm-hmm.
being there kind of put a big religious slant on everything. Initially, I was kind of looking at Boyd as almost like a Moses figure. You're wandering, it's not a wilderness, but the town in a sense is a
Right,
wilderness. So now
right,
that he's gone, you're kind of losing that spiritual component. But then you
right.
mentioned Sarah. Do you think Sarah, because she's hearing voices from we don't know where, do you think
Right.
she can kind of slide in there and be that kind of spiritual component for Boyd? Because she was really inspiring him to go on at the end of the episode.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if it'll be a spiritual, like in a sort of religious sense, but she's certainly connected to something on that island. So if there are spirits, if that's what it is, like maybe for sure. But I think he really now believes that she is connected to something on the island. When she does the Mr. Fish and Loaves, like there's no
Right.
way for her to know that. There's just no way for this kid to know that. And so like I think then he realizes that there's something that she's connected to. Now it just depends on what that is, right? If
Exactly.
there's spirits, then yes, I think then that'll be a more spiritual path that they'll take. If it's not, well, then whatever that path is, well, I'm
Exactly.
sure
Exactly.
Boyd is going to go down that path. But I know that Boyd has a hard time with the religion and the spirits and the stuff like that. That's not necessarily his bent. He's more
Mhm.
practical, so
Exactly. Exactly. So
yeah.
there's a lot of deaths on the show, not overkill, but a lot of significant ones. We saw what happened in Colony House. So Kenny losing his father. We mentioned Father Catry, and Frank was the one that you forgot, the one that was put in
Right,
the box.
right, right.
So I want, from your character standpoint, which was the one that you feel hit Boyd the hardest out of all the people that we lost this season?
Khatri, 100%.
Okay.
Khatri, like, of course, his wife, which was years before, right?
Hmm.
Of course, his wife, but that he carries throughout the show. He carries the weight of all that through the show. But during the season, Khatri that's got to be the worst. No matter how much they fought, no matter how much back and forth they had, like Khatri saved their life. That's his connection. Do you know what I mean? Katu is his connection. And yes, he had that spiritual component that sometimes when you feel like you've done all the practical things and still things aren't working, that spiritual aspect comes in for Boyd. With that being gone, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a real, if he makes it back, if he even makes it back.
That's the question. That's the question. And that kind of leads me to the next thing. Is the devil you know better than the one that you don't? And the reason I say that is because we know what the night creatures, well, we know what their limitations are. We don't know everything about them, but we know how we can control them with the talisman and all that. But now with the lighthouse and where you're going now is really unknown territory. So for you, what do you think is more terrifying? The night creatures that we know a little bit about, or just the unknown, whatever forces is knocking down the tower, all that, which is more scary, you think? For Boyd?
I think, look, I think that's what, like, the real great question that I think it's episode 9 posed, right? This idea of we're going to get out of here, but do we really want to go, right?
Right.
And so the devil that you do know, Donna has this great line. She said, at least the monsters have the decency to let us know that they're monsters, right? And you could work with that. But if you give into it, which is what I think Boyd's point of view is, if you just lay there and don't try to get out, then you'll always just sort of be stuck by this maybe invisible barrier. So I think for Boyd, I think once he knows one monster, that's a check. Let's do it until we get back to, our lives. Let's do it until we can free ourselves from this, entrapment, wherever we're trapped. And so I think for Boyd, it is better to go through whatever monsters you have to go through to get, to your final goal, which is your freedom.
Got it.
Right.
One of the things I always think is very immersive with these type of shows is the mysteries. Everybody starts coming up with their theories about what's happening and everything. Right. We saw that even with Game of Thrones, we saw with Lost, but also the challenge is, you're not going to make everybody happy once the truth is revealed. Some people are going to be disappointed. What made you comfortable with this show and, signing up for the show? Because that's going to happen inevitably. Right. Either they're going to be mad at what answers they get or what answers they don't get are going to make people upset. What made you comfortable with this role?
Look, at the end of the day, I still dig the journey. Like, I love what's happening right now. I dig that people are liking the show. They have questions about it. They're coming up with theories. On the show, in your life, people are going to like things that you do and people are not going to like it. And that's just the way that is. My mom used to say that to me all the time. Not everybody's going to like you. And I used to try really hard to make people like me. And it's just, she was right. Not everybody's going to like you. So I like this journey, and not everybody's going to like where it goes, but I'm digging the journey. And so, like, I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to go on it. I've been on this kind of ride once before. I really liked the journey when we did it with Lost. I like what we were doing in the show Constantine, where that was going. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go further, but I kind of like those things because you get really intrigued by what could be happening, what's going on, the twists and turns. And I think that those are just fun rides. It's not just sit down, watch TV, get up and go. Like, it stays with you. You get to talk to your friends about it. You get to create new friends. I get to have this conversation with you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, right. That's just, something that we might not have done before. And so for me, I really dig the journey, and I'm willing to have some people not be satisfied, because I know there'll be many other people that will be, and I'm satisfied on the journey.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you have any personal theories about what triggers a tree? Because I've been thinking about that. Initially with the Matthews family, I was like, okay, they're going through a divorce. They lost a child. So there's some obvious trauma there that I thought maybe trauma triggers it. But then I looked at Boyd's family. Everything seemed to be going good. I didn't see any trauma. The only thing I could possibly lean on is maybe there was some undiagnosed PTSD that maybe they thought that they can manipulate, but that was it. So I was wondering if you had any personal theories or what you thought maybe triggers them to throw that tree out there and trap people.
I wonder if it's more of an experiment, like a creation experiment. This is just, don't anybody take this like I know what's going on, because I do not. So me as a fan, it feels more like a creation experiment, like let's just throw all these different people in the mix. Trauma, people in good times, people in transition. Sarah tells the story that, her brother came to save her, and they were, and they were going. So he wasn't in trauma, but she was in trauma, both things at once. And so it feels to me like almost like a creation experiment, like let's put all these things in in the mix and see what happens. Let's see what grows out of that. And that's what I think. I think the tree is random. I think so. My personal opinion. But I don't know.
Sure. You got to make sure you add that.
Right.
So one thing for season 2, I think there's a lot of sleeper storylines. You know, we have Kenny that's coming into his role as a potential leader, and even the romance with Christy. You have Ellis and Fatima. You have Donna, is she going to rebuild Colony House? And then you have Jade still trying to get adjusted. What do you feel is the biggest sleeper storyline that fans might be overlooking that may come up in season 2?
I don't think that they're overlooking, but I certainly think the last image of that bus rolling in, like what's happening there? Like this, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but you know, I don't know where we are. And by the time this comes out, I'm sure, the last episode will be done. But that bus showing up is that's intriguing. I mean, there's so many theories about what that could be, and it could impact anybody or nobody. You know what I mean? Like that bus could be impact people on the island, on the island, in the town, or or not. But I think that's sort of the biggest like thing that's coming up. I'm really curious about that and what goes on.
So I have a little theory I wanted to, well, it's not a theory, but a scenario I wanted to throw out with you about the bus. So let's say the bus arrives, we don't know who's on there, but I thought about 5 interesting people that if they were on the bus, who do you think would survive and who do you think wouldn't? So let me run down this list for you. You'll get a kick out of it.
Let's hear it.
So the bus opens up. First person that comes off is Hammond from Z Nation, your character. Second person that comes off is Julian from The Best Man. He comes off the bus. Third person, Link from The Matrix. He's off the bus now. Fourth person, Augustus Hill from Oz. He gets off the bus with a little help, but he still gets off the bus.
Somebody rolls off the bus.
Right. And now my final person, I'm going way back, showing my age. Robert Evans from I'll Fly Away, your character. He comes off the bus too. So 5 incarnations from your past roles are off the bus now. Who does the best in the town and who just doesn't make it out of those 5, you think?
Look, Hammond is going to go just like Boyd. He's just going to go in the thing. He's going to try to figure it out. He's going to go shooting, blazing. So he might not make it because I think he's a smart guy, but he's just going to go blazing. So he might not make it. Robert Evans is a kid. He's a baby. So, you know, he may be able to adjust. He may actually have the best chance of making it of all of them because he's so young that he can adjust. Augustus Hill is going to come out and he's going to have lots of theories about it. It's going to be really, really interesting. But at the end of the day, he's going to need help. And at some point, you know, somebody's going to be like, yo, man, you on your own. So
exactly. So that's true.
You got after dark, you on your own, homeboy. So he's there. And Julian, man, just the sweetest guy around. Julian is such a nice guy. You know, I would hope that he makes it because he's just a nice dude. Exactly. But sometimes, you know, nice doesn't cut it. But
this is true. This is true.
Oh, Link. Yeah, Link for sure. Look, Link knows how to live with little or nothing. I mean, they live down in those caves with no sunlight. So
this is true.
Yeah, Link has got a real good chance of making it. So yeah, I don't know. They're all survivors. I don't know. Stuff.
Got it.
Good question, though. Good question.
No problem. No problem. Who would you say? What was your favorite scene of the whole first season?
My favorite scene, doing or watching?
Doing. Let's do that.
Doing. You know, me being a dad. Sometimes those chances when, you know, parents and their children get to connect. I like that, especially when we've had a season of them being disconnected. So for me, I enjoyed the 2 scenes where Boyd tries to connect with Ellis and then Ellis reconnects with him. And you show that how much they love each other. For me, those are really good scenes. And I just, I personally connect with them as a father, you know, like I said, my daughter's here now. So any chance you get to tell your kid that you love them and they get to hear it. And those things are really, really great for me. I like those things. There's all this adventure and lots of stuff to do that's really fun. But, you know, me as the kind of actor I am, I like when you get to show human beings connected, because at the end of the day, like, we're all connected. And that's what we're all watching for, hoping for, waiting for some kind of connection to the world. And that's what I really love doing on screen. And hopefully, you know, people off screen get it. Like they see that, feel that. That's what I like. That was my favorite.
And that's really important to see that, especially when you're talking about Black fathers and Black sons.
Exactly.
You rarely see that period on TV, and particularly not in horror. So, you know, in a horror series. So that was really good to see that. I definitely agree there.
Right.
Let's see, one other thing. Let's go to the hip hop side. You mentioned, and we all know you grew up in Brooklyn.
Yes,
Golden age of hip hop. You were lucky to experience that. I gotta ask you, who is your top 5 of all time as far as MCs go? Any era?
Well, because you know I'm from Brooklyn, so we got to start with Biggie. Like that's just
Absolutely.
number one. There's no out of that.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to go back to Brooklyn. So Biggie is definitely is number one. Mos Def is a real close number 2. So you know, I know Mos since he was a real young dude, and so Mos is definitely up in there.
You know, the new Black Star album is coming out. I think in a week or 2.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, they finally, after all the starts, that the album is coming out. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll get a new Black Star album.
I actually didn't know that. Eric B. Rakim for sure.
Okay.
And KRS-One are those of like KRS-One is like definitely like those are my top. Did I do 5? Biggie, Mos, Eric B. Rakim. That's 2, right?
And KRS, that's 4. So KRS. Rakim, Mos Def, Biggie. So we got one more.
Oh, I thought I did Eric B and Rakim, but I like them both. But Tip is one of my favorites too. Like he's real fun. Q-Tip is great, you know, because he comes out of that New York school of like hip hop and stuff. Like, so yeah, like Nas. I don't know. You're gonna make me keep going. Like Nas out there, you know, representing, you know, Queens. LL was there. Can't forget LL. So there's just so many people that it's hard to. But like definitely Biggie and Mos, those are my top 2. Like I love both.
Got it. So you mentioned that you're into boxing a little bit. So we had a big fight, I'm not sure if you're aware, last weekend with Errol Spence, who's a welterweight. Any boxers on your scene now that you're really into or really looking forward to seeing fight?
Well, if Errol Spence and Bud Crawford fight, that's gonna be epic. I've loved watching the evolution of Canelo. You know, I feel like Canelo was a great boxer before, and then he fought Floyd, and he had to like figure out some stuff.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like he had to figure out some defense stuff, and I think watching the evolution of Canelo is really, really exciting. Young Javante is, you know, exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, where that goes, you know, how it all goes. There's a lot of really good boxers out there. So those are some of the people who I'm digging. You know, I still like Danny from Philly.
Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia, man. I still love Danny Garcia. I think he's just a great fighter. He's had a couple of losses recently, but I still just think he's so sound and technical and tough. And I like watching Danny Garcia fight. So yeah, a couple of dudes.
So, you know, there's a line in the sand now. So I got to ask you, as far as Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, who wins in that fight?
Yeah, man, you're not going to get me to make a prediction on that one. You're not going to get me to make a prediction on that one. They are both, like, I think that Errol Spence comes out time and time again and shows you how tough and determined, and like car accidents, he doesn't matter. He's tough, determined, smart fighter. And same with Bud, in that last fight, when he came out and he said, "Hey, am I down?" And it's like, "Oh, you might be." He just came out and just like, "Nah, we're gonna end this fight right now."
Exactly.
You know, and you know, is that Sean Porter he fought?
Sean Porter, yeah.
Yeah, it was Sean Porter, right? And Sean Porter is tough, and he was like, "Nah." So Bud is just right-handed, left-handed, smart, tough. I am not gonna make a call on that fight, but I'm sure it's gonna be an epic fight. Like they're both two warriors, and I'm sure, you know, they've been training their whole lives to, you know, sort of get in there and prove this moment. And so I'm just excited to see, you know, if it happens, when it happens, who shows out, you know.
Absolutely.
How about you? Do you have one?
You know what? I am leaning towards Bud to win by knockout. And the only reason is because everybody that you mentioned that Crawford's fought, he's hurt them early on, and that kind of changes the directory of the fight because he's such a good counterpuncher. Spence is, I think, a more beat you down type of fighter, but normally his stoppages happen late. So if I had to choose between the two, I'm more inclined, because Errol is aggressive, that Crawford is going to have more opportunities to hurt him with a counterpunch.
Ah, got
That's
it.
the only thing I'm leaning towards. But if he doesn't hurt him, then I think Spence will stop him late. But if I had to put money down, I'm gonna go for Crawford late stoppage.
Wow, that's a really insightful pick. I like your reasoning there. Yeah,
Appreciate it. Either way, it's not going the distance. Somebody's getting knocked out. I know that for sure. That's what I can say for sure too.
Such a big buildup. Yeah.
All right. So my last question, another humorous one. So as you see, I got all this long hair, right?
Yes,
and you were repping the locks for a while too. And normally when people cut their locks is because, the hairline's not cooperating anymore. I'm looking at you. You didn't have that problem. So what made you finally decide, you know what, I've had my run, but I'm ready to let them go?
I love my locks. I loved every bit of it. And what I was feeling like at the time is, what I really love to do is be an actor. And I felt like my locks were really famous.
Right.
Like everywhere I went, people were like, oh, like they recognized me right away. And it was really about my hair. And I was like, I can't let my whole career be about my hair. Like, I love my hair. I love it. But I've been working really hard to be an actor my whole life. And, I just wanted to try some other things. There were period pieces I thought maybe I'd get a chance to do, even though like we did Romeo and Juliet. We did it with the locks. It totally worked out. There was just so many other things like I wanted to do. At the time, I was interested in hopefully playing Martin Luther King when I was a little younger, and there's no way to pull off King with locks. And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so there were things about my career that I was really interested in pursuing. And I had the locks for a long time. When I did the last 2 Matrix movies, I thought these movies are going to be huge. That's enough. And they were big movies, but not exactly what I thought it was going to be. But no, they were big movies. And so I thought like that was a good place to call it. Like after the Matrix, Reloaded, Revolutions. I thought,
Revolutions. Okay.
Yeah. I thought like, okay, let's start a new chapter. Let's start something else. And so, and I mourned them for a year.
Wow. Okay.
I still go and look at them like I wouldn't get rid of it. Have them in a bag and just like look at them. But I loved it. Your locks are beautiful, my friend. So,
appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna ride it out to the end at this point. I just turned 40 a couple months ago. I'm like, might as well just ride it. See how long I can go.
And quiet as it's kept, I was gonna have that hairline issue real soon.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Up there was gonna get real thin. It's gonna be fully full out hair. It's gonna get real thin up there. So that's another, quiet as it's kept.
Yeah, got you. So let us know before we go, any other projects you want to plug before we get out of here?
Well, I know that out in theaters, there's this wacky piece I did. It's kind of in theaters. You can, I think, get it on video on demand called Without Ward. So that's out there. If you like really weird, obscure, like indie movies, I did this a long time ago. And my friend Corey Cataldo directed it. It's really great. And right now we are in the throes of filming Best Man, the final chapters. Wow. So I'm actually in Julian mode most of the time here. And so if we get picked up, I think I leave from here and start right into From. But yeah, we are doing Best Man final chapters right now, and the whole gang's back, and so that's a lot of fun. So look forward to that on the Peacock Network.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate your time. We're definitely going to be looking forward to season 2 of From. As you can see, I got Victor's little lunchbox here.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go with that.
You're so funny on Twitter, so.
Oh yeah, I try.
They should send you all the stuff.
Definitely appreciate that. So yeah, anything that you need as far as future projects and anything, just let me know. I'm here for it, and definitely looking forward to season 2.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate it, man. You have a good one.
You too. Later.